this is bizarre stuff, and the bulk of the culpability almost is in the hand. The press bears the greatest brunt here. The press at large has done so much, oftentimes consciously, sometimes out of cowardice or out of incompetence, to keep these things, all of these things, secret. And God knows what we're going to find going forward if we know this much now, despite all that interference. God knows.
So again, as I try to keep up and track everything, and I'll remind folks that in the show description is a link to the article that we're talking about, and then some of our previous discussions, and I encourage people to check on all of that, and then to read the article carefully, including some of the articles and other bits of information that you reference. In fact, if I can, I want to bring this back up because I did go and find that report that Gizea, is that how you say his name?
I don't know how to say anyone's name. That one especially.
Whatever, Giesa, whatever. But this report that he submits to who was this sent to again? Was this sent to NATO? He's encouraging NATO to adopt it. So I don't know if
this is a report. This is a paper that was published in the NATO journal overseen by NATO. Yeah, and
so I mean, he says some things, and he's again, the oversimplification, as I'm understanding and tracking it, is that the ruling elite, the Peter Thiels of the world, and those who want to use their wealth and to manipulate, are finding asymmetrical methods of warfare, of manipulating public opinion that involve all forms of psychological warfare, counterinsurgent, propagandistic tactics. So when you reference this, and I went and found it just to see a little more about what is being said, I mean, it's fascinating. And again, he's arguing, in short, that these tactics of propaganda, he's saying in the context here, he's talking about fighting ISIS, but he's talking about unleashing an army of trolls to totally mess with them, with their recruiting and propaganda. The goal of which is to systematically lure and entrap or catfish their recruiters, to create hashtags like ISIS is gay. So again, by the way, I won't lie, when I read this, and obviously thinking about some of the hashtag groups that have popped up over the last couple of years, seemingly out of nowhere, with some very right-wing, white nationalist conservative claiming to be Black-focused entities, this is what I thought of, and how easy it would be. For instance, when I was asked on Dr. Winkler's show about, do I think FBA is a psychological warfare and effort? I don't know, but it tracks with some of these kinds of reports that I've been reading and some of these discussions that we've been having with Barrett and others over the years regarding this kind of effort, and just how easy it is for them to marshal some resources and create hashtags with and create armies of trolls that will descend on people and shift discussions online in an attempt to disrupt the recruitment and propaganda efforts of a target organization. So if you replace ISIS with Black radicalism, Black left, et cetera, and so forth, and you say that the goal is then to totally mess with their recruitment and propaganda, develop memetic warfare techniques to systematically lure and entrap and catfish potential targets of the Black left's recruitment, create hashtags, engage in memetic warfare, encourage that NATO and other entities pick up on it, and then just quickly, and I think Barrett is about ready, I'll bring him back in a second. Neither NATO nor its individual members have fully developed a language or conceptual grounding for social media focused strategic communication. And again, just as is the case at Morgan State University, where there is a strategic communications department. That is just, again, a euphemism for propaganda, psychological warfare, et cetera, and so forth. Memetic warfare today is a fringe concept, but it shouldn't be. It needs to be developed and brought into mainstream military thinking. In so doing, it should be thought of as a broader and more strategic than weaponized trolling. It should be thought of as a broader and more strategic form of weaponized trolling. Memetic warfare, as I define it, is competition over narrative, ideas, and social control in a social media battlefield. I love the way this is, again, going back decades in our media, critical media studies work. This is exactly how the ruling elite have forever ever talked about the public sphere, pop culture, so-called entertainment, or nowadays in social media. It's a battlefield. One might think of it as a subset of information operations tailored to social media. Information operations involve the collection and dissemination of information to establish a competitive advantage over an opponent. Memetic warfare could also be viewed as a digital native version of psychological warfare, more commonly known as propaganda. A digital native version of psychological warfare, more commonly known as propaganda. If propaganda and public diplomacy are conventional forms of memetic warfare, then trolling and psyops are guerrilla versions guerrilla versions. And I know this is the enemy talking, but to me, that's
now listen. That's called my boy. You know nothing about that.
Let's get clarity on what they're saying. I love it when we get to see how they're actually approaching this. Create the grand narrative. So all this in my own focus on Black capitalism or these hashtag groups, or this is exactly how I see it happening. And I think Barrett is ready, so I'll bring him back. But yeah, so Barrett, I just wanted to go through some of that report that you reference in your article that I do think is wildly important to again setting the context for what you've been talking about in that first hour. And then this guy, to your point, is let's see, to your point is so the guy who's writing that article that I'm just reading there to talking about weaponizing memetic warfare is this guy who you're identifying is an investor and political operative who had run companies on behalf of pro-Trump billionaire Peter Thiel, co-founder of defense surveillance giant Palantir, and business partner of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. At the time, Giza defined memetic warfare as a term coined as a subset of information operations or psychological warfare tailored to social media, and so on and so on. The use of sock puppets, etc., as you were talking about earlier.
Oh, I'm so surprised. I'm so surprised. Y'all been in church 2 hours and you're expecting to see heaven out here, and there ain't no heaven. You're still right here hear the black man's truth. No, you can't deny it. You can't deny it. You've been down on your knees the last 2 hours, haven't you? Begging some God to help you in the hereafter. But the hereafter is right now, brother. The hereafter is here and now.
You got to earn your liberation.